TJ, we're live on Channel 4. Good evening. I have not spoken to you for a long time.
I know, that monthly catch-up is good. How have you been?
I'm great, thank you. I am so good, so busy running around. But welcome to all the Facebookers. Come and join us live. I've got the sun blaring on me. I feel like I don't know, it's so warm, but I'm trying to keep out of the sun.
It's really hot right now, but all the sun out, keeping us warm, it's all good.
It is. Tonight is all about coping with change. How have you been, TJ?
Yeah, I am good. And funny enough, that is exactly what I've been trying to do, coping with some change.
Coping with some change.
It could be a perfect subject tonight.
So hopefully we can help you, TJ, with whatever it is you're going through, and perhaps you want to share or not share. It's entirely up to you, but hopefully tonight can give you some pointers just to help you cope with whatever's going on right now.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, most of us don't really want that change. We're quite comfortable with how it was all going, and we didn't see the need for change. So coping with any change is really hard, isn't it?
It is. And, change is inevitable, isn't it? It's like two other things, tax and death. They're the two inevitable things, but change is inevitable. You may go through trials and roles in your life, and they will shift. Things will change. And tonight's conversation is all about trying to help, facing fear of change for people who struggle with change and coping with a new normal. Or, because change is inevitable, and change can be positive. It can equally be painful and not such a pleasant experience, losing your job or personal loss. But it could be business growth or pay rise or even promotion at work. But change is inevitable, and tonight's conversation is all about how to cope with change.
It can be difficult though, because a lot of us are quite happy with the way it was and don't see the need for change. So you just think, I can't understand why these people are all rushing around doing lots more stuff when they should just carry on with what was working. If it was working, why change it?
Yeah, and like I said, change is inevitable, and if we don't change and grow with whatever is moving, we stagnate and harden, don't we? So we've got to learn how to cope with change and the things when things don't go to plan, when things don't go our way. We've got to be able to cope with that. And with nearly every kind of change, good and bad, stress is going to be part of that equation. And the trouble is, when you're stressed, the pillars of healthy living, eating well, exercise, sleeping well, social time. I want to help you with some tips tonight. But when you're stressed, the pillars of healthy eating tend to fall off your priority list, don't they?
That's one of the things, and that's one of the things I'm trying really hard to change. Get rid of those old habits. But you know what they say, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and getting that new way of going forward is so hard.
That's what they say. But I mean, that's if you take on that belief. I'm too old to change. You hear some people, old and in set in their ways. I'm too old. I'm too set in my ways. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you can. We are, there's always so much to learn, and we can always learn something from somebody. But like you said, the pillars of that healthy living when we're stressed fall off our priority list. But with every kind of change, stress is always going to be part of that equation. Wedding, a birth of a child, all good, exciting things, but nonetheless, that change can be stressful.
Definitely so, which just sends us, like you say, running straight for that lovely comfort food.
Yeah, and there's two ways of coping, because some people cope. How people cope with change, it's one of two ways. There's either what you call escape coping or control coping. Escape coping is based on avoidance, taking deliberate actions to avoid the situation, avoid the difficulties of the change. You might deliberately miss that meeting where they're talking about restructuring. Maybe you'll ignore calls from a co-worker who's just got the promotion you wanted because it's your way of coping, because you can't cope with the fact that somebody else has got promotion over you, for example. Some people even take refuge in alcohol or drugs, and use that as a method to cope with whatever the change is or whatever the stress is, and it's called escape coping. And that is all on avoidance. It's an avoidance tactic, which a lot of people do, TJ.
Yeah, they do. And it's an easy escape. We've all been there where you just think, oh, it's been such a tough day. I'll just have a quick little drink. Especially you think, do you know what, if I have a little drink, that might help me sleep tonight, and then I won't be up worrying about it all.
Yeah, an avoidance, isn't it? And the other way of people coping with change, you've got escape coping, and the second thing is control coping. And this is much more positive and much more proactive, and you refuse to behave like a victim of change. Instead, you manage your feelings, you get support, and you do what you can to be part of that change, instead of thinking, this always happens to me, poor me, and the victim syndrome. And in reality, most of us respond to major change with a mixture of both escape and control coping. But control coping is definitely the better option, because it's impossible to avoid the reality of change for long without becoming exhausted or damaging your reputation. So control coping is a much more positive and proactive way to cope with any change, and hopefully tonight we can give you some tips on how to cope with some change. But there's different stages, TJ, also to when you receive news about a change, whether that's good news, bad news, or whatever, because change can be difficult because it can challenge how we think, how we work, the quality of our relationship, our physical security, or even it could challenge our sense of identity. I want to say hi to the viewers that are watching tonight. Let's like and share this page, because it's a nice topic to talk about, because change is inevitable and we've got to be able to cope with change. So there's typically normally 4 stages of change. The first is shock and disorientation. The second is anger and other emotional responses. The third is coming to terms with that new normal. And the fourth stage is acceptance and moving forward. We might get stuck in one stage. We might advance quickly, but then regress and go backwards. And there's no clear-cut, decisive move from one stage to another. Shock can change to anger, with no break between the two, and it feels like it's just one stage, because that anger may come very quickly. You may move from stage 1 to stage 2 quite quickly. Hello, Mum. My mum's watching.
And hello to Tamika as well.
Yeah, Tamika
Lovely
as well. I'm glad. Yes. So the shock and disorientation, TJ, experiencing a sudden big change can feel like a real big physical blow, can't it?
It can. That's sometimes I think of where I've been like that in the past, and knowing other people, and it's just like putting the blanket over your head, just trying to ignore it, letting it all sink away, not accepting it.
Yeah, it could be a global financial crisis, may end up in significant losses and redundancies, or threat to your workplace, and sweep away roles and relationships that you've cultivated for years. And that could lead to a feeling of instability. So that shock, a sudden bereavement or health issue may change fundamentally your outlook on life. And in that initial,
definitely true.
And in that initial stage, I'm sure, TJ, you can talk from experience here. But you're likely to feel confused, uncertain, and your priority needs to be about making sense of that information.
It is, and it is hard when it's like that, because some of the time you feel like you've sort of been robbed of that opportunity of where you thought it was all going really well and everything else, and you were in control, to then all of a sudden be out of control and it not going the way you want it, and having to find that different way forward can be hard in the beginning.
It can be, but we can only control the things that we can control, because we can't control the uncontrollables. And worrying about the things we can't control, there are things we can do to help those uncontrollable things, like those, the pillars of healthy living, sleeping well, eating well, exercising, all of those, drinking enough water, all of those things that are the healthy pillars of good living, aren't they?
Absolutely. And you'll get to that when, especially if it's your health thing, you start looking and thinking, well, what could I do better? What could I do to change it?
Yeah.
But those changes are difficult at some points, but well worth it. And that's where you gain back that control of what's going on in your life.
Yeah, in business, we conduct what is called a SWOT analysis, which looks at the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You can almost do that to the change that you are facing right now. Looking in and looking at the threat that you're facing, or that if the change is a negative one, if the change is of threat to you, actually conducting what is my strength, what is my weakness, what's the opportunity here? Because there's always opportunity when there's a threat. People might think, wow, that's crazy. There's always, whenever there's a threat, there's an opportunity. For us as a business, the threat of COVID, the pandemic, for example, provided us with an opportunity to provide supported accommodation. Where there's always a threat, there's always opportunity. It's being able to find it, as opposed to just acting like the victim and thinking, poor me. What can I do about it? What's my strengths? What am I good at? What's my weaknesses? What do I need to do to get better? What can I do to improve this situation? What's the opportunity here? Is there a learning lesson here? Is there a learning lesson? Because most changes will bring a lesson to learn. Could you learn a valuable new skill? An enforced change in your job role may allow you to learn a valuable new skill, may allow you to build good relationships with colleagues that perhaps you've not got good relationships with. Working with somebody new, these threats of change could bring opportunity too. But yeah, shock and disorientation is generally when there's any first news of any change, because most people don't like change. My mum, I'm sure she'd type away right now, but she is one for not change. Even the thought of moving to another office, TJ, and new premises is really stressing my mum out, I know, because she hates change. And I'm here to say, actually, it's a good thing. Imagine, you're not going to be cramped. You're not going to be sitting on top of people. Look at the opportunity here. You've got a nice big workspace. It's closer, a little bit closer. Try and find all that. My mum's going, no. Trying to find all of the good and positives in that change, as opposed to it's the unknown, isn't it? When there's change, it's the unknown.
And it is, in the beginning, it's quite scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to be better. And often once you get there, you find out it is much better. But it's that travelling time, isn't it, from one position to another, that can be very difficult.
It does. And, the next stage of reacting to change may be anger and other emotional responses. It gives way to a lot of strong emotions, and we normally have an emotional response once we've gone through the shock of that initial news of whatever the change is. The next is a wave of emotional, and perhaps a mixed emotions too. You might be angry about a downgrade of your role in work, or fearful about the impact that a layoff will have on your family of losing your job. And you may sway between feeling good about it, feeling negative about it, and it's natural, it's a normal way, but it's important to avoid suppressing your emotions and to actually acknowledge how you feel about things. But equally, it's key to managing your emotions, and some people just fly off the handle. Some people don't manage their emotions, they react as opposed to respond. Acknowledge the way you feel, and be sure to assess what you can express openly and what you should probably keep to yourself, because some people just have no filter, do they? And they just say it.
They do, but then you've got the other hand where people just completely cut it off and try to ignore it's even happening.
And that's going back to that escaping way of coping, isn't it? The escape method of coping, escape coping, which is all about avoidance. Somebody who's got promotion and you avoid taking that call because you can't cope with talking to that person. That's escape coping, or getting involved in drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. But yeah, it's stage 3 is coming to terms with the new normal. And during this stage, your focus will likely to start to shift away from what you've lost and actually what is going to be and what's new to come. And that process may be slow, you may be reluctant to acknowledge it, but it's an essential part of coping with that change. So stage 3 is coming to terms with that new normal. And the key here is to make a commitment to move on. Start to explore more deeply what that change means for you. Your instinct may be to behave resentfully and to be unwilling to cooperate. And that may cause yourself another time, because all you're doing is putting yourself at dis-ease. So find the positive aspects of developing that situation to that change that's coming.
Someone's saying there that some people go into a state of confusion. I suppose, why is this happening to me? What's going on? I don't understand.
Yeah, and that's that stage 1, which is that disorientation feeling, because it can feel like a big physical blow. So that stage of confusion is really an early stage, because you think 1 minute everything was going great, and now suddenly the carpet's been swiped under my feet and I have no idea what's going to happen. I've lost everything, or whatever it is it may be, that change. But that confusion, element of confusion, is definitely stage 1, is that shock and disorientation. Stage 2 is anger and those other emotional responses. And then stage 3 I started to talk about was coming to terms with that new normal. It's vital that you avoid pretending everything's okay when it's not. So if you find yourself going back into that stage 2 of mixed emotions and anger or hurt or even confusion, going back to stage 1, because there's no just you go to stage 1, then you go to stage 2, go to stage 3, you never go back to stage 1. You could be in stage 3 coming to terms with something new, but then go back to stage 1 of just feeling completely confused about it all. So that's normal too. It's normal to regress and go through the stages. And there's no time frame either from stage 1 to stage 2. You may feel shock and disorientated and confusion and anger all at one go, or mixed emotions, and stage 1 and 2 are combined. And then,
so these are all perfectly normal. No one's going mad if they're feeling any of this to any of the changes that they're going through.
No, and change is inevitable. It's how we cope with change, how we respond to the changes. And stage 4 is acceptance and moving forward. And that's the stage when you come to fully accept your new changes in your life, whatever those changes may be. It may be moving out, it may be an eviction, it may be a loss, it may be bereavement, it may be a new career, it may be a wedding, it may be the birth of a child, because change can be good and bad, but it's how we cope with that change. You know, some people get married and they can't cope with suddenly living with somebody, or the birth of a child, the new addition to a family, they suddenly can't cope. And that's normal. It's normal not being able to cope, because every situation, good or bad, is going to bring some stress. It's recognizing that and looking at what we can do to de-stress and to, help ourselves through those changes, good or bad. So,
I mean, some of that will come with, you'll get guilt along with that and things like that as well, won't you? Especially like if it's your new child, or you've just got married and you know you should be happy, but you're finding it all very difficult. Then you start to get those guilt complex and that, don't you?
Yeah, and that's, stage 2, the mixed emotional responses, whatever it may be, anger, guilt, resentment. Some people even resent when they have babies, they resent the fact, it could be either party, the husband or the wife, or the man or the woman, resenting the new addition to the family, and we're not sure of how we cope with this change. This suddenly, the focus is on me and now the focus is on the baby, or a new dog to the family. You won't believe it, TJ, we've just got 2 puppies.
Yes, congratulations.
That's a big change for
2
me.
dogs, not 1 but 2.
Not 1 but 2, and they are puppies. And that is a huge change for me. People who know me really well, I think they'd put their last penny in their pocket to say Michelle would never, ever get a dog. Well, she's only gone and got 2. That's a big change, believe me.
Congratulations.
When was the last time you did something for the first time? Last Sunday when I picked the puppies up.
What dogs are they for everyone out there?
Oh, they're cockapoos, but they follow us everywhere. We bring them to work. They're like Reactiv8 dogs. They are Reactiv8 dogs. I think they'd be good for the education team, to be honest. Nice calming therapy, playful when they're older. But yeah, they come with us everywhere.
That's good. So they can chew everything, chase everyone.
Yeah, I say they're not mine.
Oh, they're definitely yours, though,
Oh
aren't they?
dear. But yeah, so acceptance and moving forward. I now accept my house may be smelly. I'll do my utmost to keep it fresh and clean because I can't stand the smell. Tamika is saying we love them and they're so cute. Yeah, thank you, Tamika. All of the BBO clients have experienced the dogs already.
I think our dogs are good for you, though. It is a good change. Although it's a very difficult change, like all of these processes, they bring such happiness and joy. And when you're feeling down, you sort of get out of that bed and take them for a walk and feed them and everything. And you feel so much better for it afterwards. They are really your a man's and woman's best friend.
I agree, TJ, and there is that therapeutic stroking them, that calming, and they come to you, and it's unconditional love, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially in a couple of months' time when they're chewing your lovely furniture. It's definitely unconditional.
You're laughing as if to say, you know what's to come.
Yeah, but it is worth every moment. It's every moment.
Oh, my mum's laughing. But acceptance and moving forward, I accept that now. It's a stage where you come to fully accept your changed circumstances. It doesn't mean giving up entirely on your former situation, but you'll have valuable memory, skills and relationships to take forward. But like I said, those 4 stages of coping with change, you can regress back to different stages. So the 4 main stages, just to summarize, were shock, disorientation, confusion. Second stage is anger and having other emotional responses. The third stage was coming to terms with that new normal. And the 4th stage, acceptance and moving forward. Doesn't mean we ever get used to it fully, does it? But it's about embracing it.
Yeah, I read something the other day, and it said there are 2 ways to see the world. Some people see things they want, and some people see the things that prevents them from getting the things they want. The rules are...
say that again slowly. TJ, slow down. Say that again slowly. I like this.
So I start again. There are 2 ways to see the world. Some people see the things they want, and some people see the things that prevents them from getting the things they want.
Yes, hold it there. I like that. Repeat that, just that bit.
So, from the beginning?
Yeah, that bit. Some people
see the things they want, and some people see the things that prevents them from getting the things they want.
Yes. Keep going.
The rules are you can go after anything you want. You just cannot deny anyone else.
Absolutely. And it's the same, some people could see the roses in the garden and other people just focus on the weeds. Isn't it? It's the same. And like you say, some people focus on all the things that are stopping them from achieving the things they want because they can't get their head out of the negative situation they're in.
And it is hard when you're in that situation. I've had quite a lot of illnesses and still have quite a lot of illnesses, and you do go through that why me, why am I stopping, and then you have to leave that where it belongs and just think about, right, what can I do now, and then work on your health to look to what you can do in the future, but concentrating on the right here and right now. I'm going to forget what I can't do, and I'm going to look at what I can do and do what I can do.
Absolutely, and I'm sure, TJ, news for you has been shocking. News for you has disoriented you, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and we all go through them stages, but it's about keep going through, because otherwise you're going to sit there and lose out. And for me, I've got children, I've got a life, I've got so many goals I want to achieve, and I just need to look at them a different way. Same as I've also got dyslexia and dyspraxia, and and spelling, as you know, is not at my front. I went through college and university with a dictionary with me at all times. And when I taught and I become a teacher, it didn't hold me back. I just kept that dictionary with me, and I explained, I'm dyslexic. Some of the time I get it right, and some of the time I don't. But you can help me along, and we can still do whatever we want in life. And that's the same for everybody else, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It does. I've got a few more tips tonight.
Awesome. I need them all.
A few more tips of coping with big changes in your life and coming out a better person. Number one, acknowledge that things are changing. Sometimes we get caught up, we put off dealing with it. Denial is a powerful force, and it's looking at that escape coping methodology that people go to as opposed to the control coping, which is a much more proactive way. But denial is a powerful force, and it protects us in many ways. However, stepping outside of it and saying to yourself, things are changing and it is okay, can be less stressful than actually putting it off. So, how big is the problem? And I'd normally, any problem that people are presented with, I'll always say, I'm bigger than that problem. I can cope with this problem. And when things are changing, it's okay.
I like that. Things are changing and it's okay, and I am bigger than the problem.
Yeah, great 2 affirmations. I am bigger than the problem, and things are changing and it is okay. I am willing to accept the new norm. And just bring the valuable memories you've had from the past. But that is it's being able to come to a place of acceptance and being able to move forward. But things are changing and it is okay.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too. And I am bigger than the problem. Keep saying these affirmations when you're struggling with coping with change. Things are changing and it is okay. It's okay.
I can hear some people that might be listening thinking, well, this is a bit silly. I'm not going to talk to myself like that. But I've used these methods that Michelle's given out, and it does work. Once you get over the silliness of saying it to yourself in the mirror or just saying it to yourself, you'll actually find that your mind starts changing and you keep thinking, well, I can do this. I'm bigger than this problem. I'm going to do it.
Absolutely.
And it gives you that motivation you need.
Absolutely. And people think, well, talking to myself, how's that going to help? Saying that affirmation, how's that going to help? They're just words. Words are powerful. Thoughts,
yes,
words are powerful, and we need to be careful what we say and how we talk. And I have to remind myself, I slip up with how I talk, but I raise awareness. I'm very quick to put it differently in a much more positive way. Tip number 2, realise that even good change can cause stress. I touched upon that earlier. A positive life change, graduating, having a baby, getting married, can still feel like a great deal of stress, moving house, or even dread. But keep in mind that positive change can create stress, just like not so positive changes in our life. And it's okay to feel stressed when something good has happened. In fact, it's normal. If you just had a baby, talk to your doctor and people who suffer from postnatal depression. You can feel stressed after good things too in our lives, and it's okay. It's okay to feel those things. Tip number 3, keep up your regular schedule as much as possible, because the more change that is happening, the more important it is to stick to a regime. Keep your dog walking the same. It gives us an anchor. An anchor is a reminder that some things are still the same, and gives your brain a little bit of rest, because that's what you've been used to, and you keep that process and schedule going. Try to eat healthily as possible. When change happens, and it's good or bad change, we tend to reach for the carbs, don't we? The cakes, the breads, the muffins, eating carbs boosts serotonin, brain chemical that becomes depleted when you're stressed. And it's okay to soothe yourself with what we call comfort foods in moderation. But tracking what you eat is a good thing to do, to make sure you're not having that second muffin or third muffin or too much carbs and too much overload. And also, are you having an increased intake of alcohol or other substances, because they can sneak up on you when you're under stress, and one glass of wine becomes 2, becomes 3, before you know it, you're just drinking a bottle And yeah, so eat healthy as possible. Regular exercise, keeping up with exercise. And if it's not part of your routine, try adding to it, because those feel-good chemicals, those endorphins that we get released when we get that body pumping, can do wonders for us. Tip number 6.
Some messages here.
Some messages.
Go
Who have we got? Sheena.
Says, how bad do you want to cope and be happy?
Yeah, how bad is how bad you want it, how bad you want it. So if you think saying affirmations is silly, I'm going to say bye to my dad, who's just... Okay. Thanks for coming. Sorry.
Bye!
Yeah, my dad's just going. Mummy's on his way home now anyway, so I'll let you know. What was I saying? Lost my train of thought.
About Conroy saying it's how bad do you want it?
Yeah, how bad you want it. If you think talking affirmations is a silly thing to do, try it, because you'll start tricking your brain, your subconscious mind, and actually you'll start believing it, almost like faking it to make it. You'll start believing that becomes your reality. What other messages?
Gina's saying, where's your beautiful doggies? She missed them.
Has she missed them? You have missed them. They're outside roaming somewhere. They're outside at the moment. We'll bring them in soon. I thought they'd need some fresh air.
And then the last one says, love that tip, Michelle, about keeping to a schedule when lots of change is happening.
Yeah.
So it's like grounding yourself, isn't it?
It is. We need, when there's so much change going on around us, we need something that we don't that our brain can just escape from, that we don't have to think about, that we keep things to a schedule. So if you get up at a certain time, still get up at a certain time. If you walk the dog at a certain time, walk the dog at 8 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night or whatever it is. Keep your schedule, keep something the same, so it doesn't feel like all change all at once. And it's nice to see you on, Luelle, and Peter and Susie are on as well. So hi to you. And I just want the viewers to interact and let us know if there's any situations, good or bad, changes that you are struggling to cope with, and let us see if we can help you tonight. So any situations, any changes you've got forthcoming, how we can help you cope with those changes tonight. Tip number 7, write down the positives that come from this change, and that's going, we have light on the subject. Write down the positives that come from this change. You might have met new people. You might have had an opportunity to work with a colleague that you have never worked with before. Maybe you've started practicing healthier habits. Maybe you become more assertive. Maybe the change has helped you prioritize what's important in life and made you reevaluate and made you refocus and made you redefine your values of what is important. Because change presents us with the opportunity to grow. And it's
that is true. How many times have I reevaluated my list of what's my priorities, Michelle?
You have. And your values as well, TJ.
Yes.
And the changes... Do you want to share a bit, TJ, on those values we did together quite some time ago, and how we did it again and it helped shift?
So Michelle and I we're writing down what our priorities and our values were and everything. And we had a little discussion before while we were doing this, and I said, mine's I need to earn money. I was saying I need to earn more money. I want to do more things.
I want more money.
And then we wrote down these priorities, and then you have to swap them all around and put them in priority of order. And right at the top of mine was family and friends, and right near the bottom was health and money, which should have been right at the top, but they were not at this time. And we've done this exercise a couple of times over in the years, and the last time we did it, health was at the top and money.
There you go. I actually think family was third for you, wasn't it, at that point?
Yeah, because it was quite rightly so. It's just like, how am I going to take care of my family? And I hadn't thought about this before. How am I going to take care of my family if I don't have good health, if I don't have the money to give them the lifestyle they want? But mostly, if I can't look after myself and my health, how on earth can I look after them and do what I need to do for the rest of their lives?
Absolutely.
And that's when they become lower, and I then at that point started to put myself first.
Absolutely.
Which is a strange thing to do. Very strange.
Yeah, It's good. It's the right thing, and focusing on your health is important, TJ, as well, which I know which is your priority at the moment.
Yes.
These are the dogs. Two of them. Who have we got here? Let's have Ferrari.
Oh, they are gorgeous.
This is Ferrari. I can't believe I'm stroking a dog. We've got love hearts coming on now. Oh, the love hearts come when the dogs appear. And this is Bentley.
Oh,
Ferrari
they are
and
lovely.
Bentley.
They look like lots of bundles of fun. It looks like you will definitely be keeping busy.
We are definitely keeping busy.
We've got another comment. The stages of change are the same as the stages of grief. Our brains treat grief and change in the same way.
Absolutely. And with grief, that's grief. The reason why they're the same is because grief is a change. The change is a negative one, which is a bereavement, the loss of somebody, the loss of a relationship, the loss in a person passing, the loss of a job, because that is grief too. So all of these changes, those changes, good or bad, you'll have those four elements, and grief is a reaction, a response to a change, good or bad. But grief is generally the negative ones, the losses, the pains, the heartaches, and it's how we cope when we're experiencing those things. And tonight I'm hopefully giving you some tips to be able to cope in good and bad situations. So writing down the positives that come from this change. I really do work on finding the blessings in adversity, and finding, well, okay, this has happened. What's the good out of this? What's the learning from this? What can I do from this to make things better next time? What can I, and finding the positives that come from this change. Getting proactive, tip number 8. People are loving these little dogs. Susie.
Yes, they are.
Getting proactive means...
We've got the loss through menopause.
The loss through menopause. Do you want to explain, Sheena, what you mean? Do you mean the loss of our womanhood? Or, careful, the loss, what do you... explain a bit more, Sheena, because I'll try and help you here. The loss of the opportunity to have a child? I don't know. What do you mean by the loss through menopause? Explain. Is it the loss of your womanhood? The loss of what? Tell me the feeling. So I'll give you some time to... because there's a time delay, so I'll give you some time to write. But getting proactive was tip number 8. Figuring out what steps you need to take before something happens. So, being reactive means waiting until something has happened and then you take action. But being proactive means making an appointment with that doctor, or making sure, checking your health, you're in good health before you get the health problem. Getting proactive, leaving a toxic relationship instead of staying in one. Getting proactive.
Sheena's had that. She's put the loss of managing GG weight, hope for a family.
Yeah, so the loss through menopause is, I suppose, through menopause, you've now lost your ability to create a child. And all we've got to do is come to a place of acceptance, which is stage 4, of that change, isn't it? But in amidst that, you've got those 4 stages you're going to be going through, a mix of shock, perhaps you've started menopause early, anger, resentfulness, resentment, hatred towards other people who've got children, negative feelings, and then coming to terms with the new normal is coming to a place of helping you move forward and coming to a place of acceptance. But, actually, what can I do about this? What things can I do at this point in time? Because, okay, although we can't personally have a child now, is what, through menopause, for example, what can you do about it? You can adopt. You can surround yourself with your nieces and nephews. You can spend time with your godchildren. You can become a godmother. You can foster, adopt. There's so many other things we can do to help us through that, and finding things to help you come to terms with that new normal. And there's, you know, the body, for example, as well, the through the menopause, grieving the shape we had before menopause. It's coming to a place of acceptance, isn't it? And loving the skin you're in, no matter what stage of life you're at. You know, when that grey hair appears, it's not feeling angry about getting old. It's appreciating every fibre of your body, of where your body is at right now. And if it's menopause and you've got that podge belly, that hormone belly they called, that you can't shake. Sheena says, it's not me. We were talking about it at work. Apparently it's real grief. Okay, Sheena. Yeah, so whoever you're talking about, whether it's you or somebody else, but it is a grief because people long to have the body they had. And it's the same at any age, whether it's menopause or whether it's me at my age now, looking back at when I was 21, and looking back and thinking, God, I had a good body then. I wish I had that now. I wish I could wear crop tops and tight spray-on trousers. You know, everyone at school. I can. If I work harder, I can. If I want to. There's fatter people who wear crop tops and have their bellies hanging out, and they're okay. You know, you just got to love the skin you're in, and it's just what makes you comfortable. Me, I've just got to work a bit harder in order to get my spray-on trousers back on again. I'm sure the people at school who I used to work with, including you, TJ, know all about those spray-on trousers.
Absolutely. But you'll do it. You will do it.
Kerry is saying you can. Yes, I know I can. I'm on my journey. I do have a couple of body coaches I'm working with. Akeem, who's just started in the business, and Gabby, who I'm sure she'll watch on replay. But yeah, I've lost 5 kilos. So I'm on a journey, and I've got another 5, 6, 8 more kilos to go. But yeah, it's coming to terms and coming to a place of acceptance of this is where I'm at right now. And my mum is saying, be thankful you're getting old. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to get old. Again, it's going back to writing down the positives, finding the blessings in our current situation right now.
Sean, and it is important just, enjoy the life that you've got and take what you've got and decide to do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, Sean, I used to teach Sean. She's written, those yoga pants, yeah. Those spray on trousers, I think Mr. Buck used to call them. Yeah, getting proactive. Tip number 9, venting. Vent to a point. Having a support group to whom you can vent can be helpful. But the feeling of frustration can be contagious, so try gearing the conversation towards action and solving problems as opposed to talking about the problem. And when people brainstorm together, creativity and everything else can be unleashed and it can be contagious. And the last one is, my last tip tonight, is back away from social media. Because when you're going through change, you may gravitate towards social media, towards looking at your reels and your Instagrams and Facebooks, maybe posting to your friends what's going on in your life. But first, make sure you're in a calm state when you post, because so many people post things at that emotional shock stage, and then it's posted all over and everyone's seen it. And then they wish they hadn't have posted at that time. Because keep in mind that wherever you post, it never really disappears. It will never really ever go. Even if you hit the delete or edit or whatever, it will never really disappear. And, on social media, comparing your life to your friends' lives on social media. Remember, people only post the highlight reel, don't they? The best of them. They don't post the stressful moments. And that can give you a skewed view on how everyone else's life is going, and it can make you feel like, oh, why does this always just happen to me? It doesn't seem to happen to anybody else. Everyone else has battles they're fighting. It's just different battles with different people. So stay away if you start comparing your life to others, because comparison kills happiness.
In fact, and everyone deals with things differently, don't they? I mean, the way I deal with it wouldn't be the way you might deal with it, or the next person. We all deal with it in the right way for us to deal with it.
Absolutely, at that moment in time.
Because the right way might not be the exact right way.
No, the right way will be the right way for you. And Kerry's saying, we discussed this the other day. It's interesting how people believe this, though. Believe what? Which bit are I talking about? Do we know?
No, we don't know yet, but I'm sure she'll catch up with us on the time.
Kerry will catch up. It's interesting how people believe this. I'm just going to find out what this bit is because we've talked so much. And my last bit was finally give yourself a break. Because in a time of change, you may feel a little out of control. You may feel like you're not living up to your expectations for yourself. And you are allowed to do less than what is humanly possible. Nothing says you have to function 100% all of the time. And people make mistakes. That's one of the great things about being human. It's about learning from those. And it's learning from it that really counts. And there's no mistakes. It's just an opportunity. Fail is first attempt in learning. And it's only a good story for later, isn't it? Make a point to incorporate more laughter and more fun into your life, because laughing increases that dopamine and serotonin and the good hormones, the endorphins, and that makes you feel good. And laughing also decreases the cortisol, which is the stress hormone in the body too. So yeah, summary of those tips: back away from social media, vent to a point, get proactive. What else do we say? Write down positives that come from this change. Seek support, acknowledge things are changing, realise that even good change can cause stress too. Keep up a regular schedule as much as possible. Try to eat healthily as much as possible, and exercise. There's your 10 tips on how to cope with change and facing fear and the new normal. Kerry says, we discussed this. It's interesting how people believe this though, other people's lives. Sheena saying, I love this. Thank you. My dogs cheer me up. Absolutely. Dogs are, like you said, TJ, at the start, very therapeutic, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely.
And Kerry is saying, people post the good, like you said. Other people do believe this, though, when it's really not a true reflection. People only post the good, the highlight reels. They're never going to post the negative things that are happening unless it's posted in haste when we are at that emotional response. So, yeah. Llewell is saying, when I feel sad, I have a pity party for myself and then watch a comedy sketch on Netflix. And it, laughter's good, isn't it? And have you ever been in the midst of an argument and then suddenly burst out laughing, or told a joke, or said, oh, you got something on your nose, or something just to break that ice in that moment can really help, can't it?
Absolutely. And it does, it calms it all down, and then you go back to the reality of the life, isn't it?
Yeah. And, try and create some comfort, incorporate some stress relieving things, enjoyable activities in your day. Go and take that nice hot bubbly bath, listen to some relaxing music, go to the gym, do whatever it is that helps make you feel comfort. Healthy choices. Don't open that next bottle of wine and think everything's going to be okay, because it's going back to that escape method of controlling with coping with change. Susie is saying, also be compassionate towards yourself. Yep, that's exactly what I was just touching on there. During upheavals and change, you can do it in your own speed and in your own way. And Llewell is saying, laughter is so underrated. It absolutely is. They say laughter is a great medicine, isn't it? It's a good tonic for the soul. Pardon?
It definitely is. When I'm feeling miserable, I don't put on any sad songs. I put on comedy films.
Yeah.
Because you can just laugh yourself away at that.
Yeah, or watch a funny reel that absolutely gets you in stitches. I love it when I hear Conroy. He's always on social media, but when he watches these funny things and he's really raucous laughing, it's infectious. It makes you laugh.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Kerry is saying, do something that makes you feel good. Absolutely. But coping with change is inevitable. It's going to happen to us all. And sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be negative. But it's how we choose to respond to that change. And hopefully tonight has given you some tips and some insight really on how to cope. TJ, and Susie saying I do dance. Get yourself up dancing, wiggling. That makes you feel good because you're getting those good feel-good hormones running around in that body. TJ, before we disappear tonight, we've got an event coming up in September. It's a networking and a stakeholder event. I want to start promoting it now. we are going to go with, I think it's the week commencing 26th of September. It's that week commencing. I think we may go with Thursday the 29th of September. It's very new, very raw. Invites will be coming out. Anyone who wants an invite, it's a networking, an opportunity to get a free breakfast, a free session with me, an opportunity to meet like-minded people, an opportunity to meet businesses, how to help improve your business for those people who are business owners or work within a department and you want to improve in some way, shape or form. And we're going to invite all of our stakeholders. We want head teachers. It's going to be business people, local authorities, the mayor, Chamber of Commerce. I want everybody there. And that's the week commencing the 26th of September. So all our partners we work with, they'll be getting an invite and want to start spreading the word now. So that's a free networking and stakeholder event with free breakfast at a venue to be confirmed. And be able to meet like-minded people. But you get a half hour of me at the beginning, an opportunity to see what Reactiv8 does. Not just Reactiv8, but we've got a few sister companies too that have set up. One is Regenerate, a property maintenance service, which is to do with refurbishments, property maintenance, no matter how big or how small. We've also set up a security company. There's lots going on, TJ, and I want to open this up to as many people as possible.
Programs.
So anyone who wants to get involved, just shout and we'll make sure you get yourself a free ticket sent to your inbox. So do please drop us an email if you want to get involved. And it'd be great to have all of our stakeholders an opportunity to get away from your desk for 3 hours. It's going to be a 9 o'clock for 9:30 start. So 9 o'clock kind of breakfast, some bacon baps, some vegetarian options, and some teas, coffees and hot chocolates, croissants, nice little breakfast bit, and then it'll be a 9:30 till 12 o'clock slot. 3 hours away from your desk. It will be the best 3 hours of your investment of your time. So watch out for this space. Week commencing the 26th of September, when the schools have gone back and everything starts to settle. We'll be holding our first networking and stakeholder event, which I'm really excited about. So I'm getting on that now.
Wow, Michelle, that sounds so exciting. I definitely need to be there.
You definitely do. Keep that week free.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've put the email address up at info@reactiv8.org.uk. So if you are listening to this live or you're watching it on replay, just give a little email to that email address and we will be able to book you a ticket. That is awesome. How exciting.
And I'm going to look at having a couple of guest speakers, and I need to speak to a few who are happy to share their journey. I've got a couple of real good ones in mind too. Light at the end of the tunnel, isn't there? Their journeys of homeless to getting forward with their lives and progressing, just to showcase some of the work we do at Reactiv8, because it's all about changing lives, and that's what we're passionate about. So yeah, keep that space free. That made me jump. Keep that space free. Week commencing the 26th of September. It's likely to be the Thursday. So thumbs up. Lots of love hearts to you all. Thank you so much for your time. Like and share this page and get everyone talking. The more the merrier. So start promoting. And we look forward to seeing you next month. And it's going to be September. Can you believe it?
I know, it's just flying by. I hope everyone has a great summer holiday. It's so exciting.
It's going to be the 7th of September. Wednesday the 7th of September. Everyone will be back to school. And it'll be, how to cope when your little ones go out to school. Hopefully tonight's chat has helped with preparation for September, because that's not so far away. September we'll have a brand new topic to talk about, and we'll let you know closer to the time. So thank you. It's thank you from me, and thank you from TJ. Thank you, TJ. It's been wonderful.
Yes, it's been great to speak to you and everyone else. Have an awesome evening and a great summer holiday.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Bye.